Thank you so much for having me. So as Amy has introduced me, I'm here to talk to you about how you can personalize your PowerPoint with your own sketches. So for a little while now, I've been using this trick in PowerPoint, so I'm really excited to share it with you. It's the first time I've presented about it, so if you do have any feedback or any questions, I'm very, very keen to hear them. So I'll plough ahead. First of all, I want to pay acknowledgement to the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of the land from where I'm speaking here in Melbourne, Victoria, and pay my respects to elders past, present and future. So per Amy's introduction, I'm Rebecca Jackson. I am a digital workplace manager for NextDC. I'm a Microsoft MVP in the Office Apps and Services category. I'm also a nerd by day and by night of many things. And I'm a doodler, sketchnoter and graphic facilitator, which is kind of the hat I'll be wearing today, as well as my MVP hat a little bit. So this is a lightning presentation. We can go deep on a lot of the topics that I'm going to talk about. And if you are interested, please feel free to reach out to me. But the first thing I really want to impress on you is that everyone can draw. Absolutely everyone can draw. You don't need to have an arts background. We've all picked up a crayon at some point in our lives and scribbled on a wall or on the floor or on the pavement. And it's a skill that a lot of us drop and don't continue using into adulthood. So if you're one of those people who's not currently drawing, I encourage you to get into it. And hopefully you're already getting a bit of a taste of how I've been using it in my own presentations. So conceptually, think about ideas and not art. So doodling and sketchnoting is a great way to show your simple ideas, and something doesn't need to be finished art for it to be recognizable as an object. So you can see here, hopefully, that there's a light bulb that I've drawn on the screen to illustrate my idea. So you can show your ideas in a simple way using illustrations. You don't have to have a huge amount of detail. And in fact, not having that detail helps keep people focused on your content and not distracted by that detail. You can also create consistency in your presentations. So I know I have struggled a lot looking for images and things and backgrounds and designs to make a beautiful, consistent presentation, and it's a lot of hard work. Well, one way you can make it consistent is by putting in your own drawings and making it consistent and using other things like color and design to liven things up a bit as well. And you can illustrate anything. Again, you know, I've often spent hours and hours looking for that one photo that I needed for a presentation to illustrate that point, and have struggled either to find something I wanted or even to find something that I could license and use. If it's my own drawing, I can just use it. So that's pretty easy. Very, very quickly, as I said before, everyone can draw. It's just a skill that you need to hone. And we're not all aiming to be Picasso here. We're just aiming to put across a message. So it's absolutely a skill which you can jump back into at any time and also improve and get better at. There are many ways to do that. Not going to go into the details, but just get started. Start doodling in the margins, start making little sketches, and practice the basics. So looking at drawing figures and drawing shapes and doing lettering. And I've illustrated on the screen for you a fantastic reference called the Sketchnote Handbook, which I highly recommend you Google. Mike Road is a legend in the field, and I have this book and I've used it, and it's a great step-by-step way to get you back into the fundamentals of drawing, which can be useful in so many different ways. But I'm here to talk to you specifically about adding them into your presentations. So giving your presentation a little bit of your own personality through those sketches. And here are some of the ways that you can do that. You can do it by using text. So headings is a way that you can use it, and also call-outs in your presentations. So you might want to create a consistent feel by using your own handwriting to make all of your headings, if you can make it nice and legible. Or there might be something on a page that you want to call out and use, you know, like your own handwriting or your own writing for a little bit of a quote style or that type of thing. Super, super simple. Then if you want to step it up a bit, why not add in some stick figures? And you know what? Stick figures are cool. There are lots of different ways that you can do stick figures. If you jump on YouTube, you'll find heaps of ways to show you how to do stick figures. I've done a few videos myself. But just adding in a little bit of stick figure. Here's my little dude. He's gone, hey, here's the presentation. It's a simple way to convey a message of meaning and emotion. Here's a little dude jumping for joy. Here is an angry face, and here is a happy face. So, and these are, again, really, really simple to do. You don't need to have what is the common notion of artistic talent to be able to put something like this together and have it be interesting and meaningful in your presentation. Diagrams are a really, really excellent way. I don't know how many times there's been, I've been trying to show a concept and I go, all right, I'm just going to draw it myself. I'm going to Visio it myself or put it in PowerPoint boxes. Often it doesn't even need to be that complicated. So if you're trying to demonstrate something diagrammatically, why not do it as a sketch? And for people who, you come from a technology background, you'll be very familiar with the whiteboard. We often love to jump on the whiteboard and diagrammatize something. Is that a word? But if you're willing to jump on the whiteboard, why not jump into your PowerPoint presentation and draw that diagram? Drawing it can often make it more emotionally accessible for people. So if you're trying to demonstrate something that's complex or something that you want people to buy into, using a drawing style can actually help people engage with it more. Arrows, frames, and circles. Again, if you want to highlight something or point something out, there's lots of different ways you can do that in a slide deck, but why not just draw a circle? Why not just draw an arrow, any sort of arrow? Or why not do a little call out bubble, a speech bubble, or a frame, or that type of thing? Lots of different little tricks that you can do. Just even if you're not using it through your whole presentation, adding little accents and highlights. And again, that search for images and that search for icons can be really, really stressful sometimes when you're trying to pull together a presentation. There are lots of ways that you can do that even better now in PowerPoint, but you could also just draw them. So find an image and draw the image that you want. And then you have the power to change it and alter it in any way that you want as well, change the text on it. And then with icons, how many times have we gone and tried to find that perfect icon set for our presentation, and we haven't been able to find all of those 10 images that we wanted for the icons? Well, you can get them all looking the same if you draw them all yourself. So now that we've got through those, few concepts of how we might include them, what do we need tool-wise? And this is often a barrier for people, when we're thinking digitally about presentations. Do I need a fancy iPad or whatever? Do I need a stylus? I say it's up to you. Choose your weapons, choose what works for you, but start simple and just practice using what you've got. There's no need to go out and invest, especially these days, thousands of dollars in tools, because so many of the tools do it really, really simply for you. So with what I'm going to show you in PowerPoint, you really do just need a mouse and your PC or laptop, but you can also use a tablet with your finger or a tablet with stylus. It's up to you, and I encourage you to experiment. If you know a friend that's got one, borrow one off a friend's. Really, really good to try before you buy, have a play before you invest if you plan on investing. But let's talk about PowerPoint. It's never, ever been so easy to make your PowerPoint presentations look fantastic. And sketching is just one of those things. I'm absolutely in love with the new drawing tools in PowerPoint and other Microsoft tools, but PowerPoint's what we're focusing on today. So I'm going through the different types of PowerPoint that you can use, starting with the web version, because there are slight differences in the depth of functionality that you get. So this is a screenshot from the web version of PowerPoint, and you can see on the screen that we've got some limited options. But in all of the versions, you go to the draw menu to get to what you need first. So jump onto that draw menu and you'll immediately see the options that are available. Web is very, very cut back. So you've got a few select and lasso options. You can do the old arrays. You've got a couple of pens and a highlighter. When you get into the options of the pen, you can change the thickness, which is nice, but you have very limited color options. Useful color options if you're just wanting to have a play around and experiment, but my preference is absolutely not to use the web version because I like to have more of the bells and whistles. I've recently started using iPad because I did invest and buy myself a shiny iPad to play with some drawing features, and it's really, really fabulous in PowerPoint. So you have lots and lots, again, just through the draw menu, lots and lots of different options for selecting. You can use touch or use a stylus. You've got lots of different pen options, which is super cool. But you also get, which is available in other applications, is like the ink to text and ink to shape, which I'm not going to demonstrate, but is definitely something to have a play with, because they work even better than you could imagine. So the menu here, again, we're in PowerPoint on iPad in iOS, but you can see there's a much huger array of options and some really, really shiny options available for you as well, like rainbow and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. And then on desktop, again, it's consistent. So you jump into that draw menu and you're immediately given the options. Now, I did my presentation today on the desktop version on Surface Pro. So I had all of these options available to me. It doesn't look like it gives you as much as it does in the iPad, but once you get into the menu, you do actually see that you have all of those options. And there's also a really cool replay option, which means you can draw, replay what you've drawn, which is super funky. I'm going to show you that in a second. So you can see you've got heaps and heaps of options. Pick your own colors, like color picker, so you can absolutely tune your palette and all that sort of stuff in the desktop version. Very, very cool. Now, you might have noticed in my heading slide that I had my sketch drawing for you on the screen, which is something that I'd like to say I was super skilled and did in some fantastic software, but I just did it in PowerPoint, which is so awesome. So it's the animate feature. So if you jump into the animations menu, you've got all of these different options. You just need to select what you've just drawn and then replay, and it will animate it for you in the way that it did on my opening slide. So you can see here, I'm in the animations menu, and there's replay. I did like a little bit of PowerPoint magic to make this look slightly prettier, but that is what it does. So I selected what I drew, I did the replay animate, and it plays just like that. So touching very, very quickly on a couple more features, which I think are important when we start to play with a lot of images in a presentation, which is accessibility. If we make our presentations accessible, they're better for absolutely everyone, not just people who have particular needs when it comes to web accessibility. So there are awesome inbuilt tools in PowerPoint to help you with this. So if you go to the review menu in the ribbon menu, you've got this check accessibility option. So you just select check accessibility, and then you get the accessibility checker like magic, and it gives you options such as adding alternative text, which if you're using your drawing skills for headings, you definitely want to put alternative text on there, so that people know that it's text and not a drawing. And again, if you're using a diagram, you probably want to use some alternative text to explain what the diagram is illustrating. If you've drawn an image and that image is important for people to understand what you've done, then you want to add alternative text there. And there's heaps of other stuff in there, so marking images as decorative and checking your reading order. So just by way of wrapping up, I'm going to give you a few little pig tricks to think about. So some hacks. Keyword search for ideas. I've been drawing and sketchnoting at events and graphic facilitating for longer than I care to share now. And I am always Googling for ideas. If I'm stuck for how to illustrate something, I'll often just drop it in the Google and see what does Google come up with. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. Keyword search for ideas. Copy from references. How do you think artists create their artwork? They start by copying from references. So don't be afraid to do that. I've done it several times through this presentation. And also no shame in tracing. Again, done that several times in this presentation. And tracing is a great way to learn and become familiar with drawing if you want to work on it. So here are some hints for you. Keep it simple. Like keep it super simple. You don't need to go into a lot of detail. Balance your elements, so don't go too overboard. You'll notice that I've done a balance of text and images through my presentation to keep that balance. And embrace your own style. Don't be afraid because yours doesn't look like someone else's. It would be totally boring if it did. So thank you very much for listening to me. I hope that this presentation has some way inspired you to get sketchy and start using your sketches in your own presentations, or at least to start getting doodling and sketching in your own time. And I would love to hear from you. So I'm on the Twitters, I have a blog, and I've written about many things, including sketching on my blog. I am on the LinkedIn. I am not on the Facebook right now because I'm taking a break, but it's there, and on Flickr. So if you have feedback on my presentation, if you have questions because you want to deeper dive, you just want to reach out and connect, those are all the places you can find me. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to Amy and the team for inviting me to be part of this amazing event.